Samson, I can't let no hoe lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, oh they lies, this hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Niggas think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying, this shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us, he might lose his life first. Circle up and stay alert, another cop just stretch the nigga. He a demon, this an exorcism, watch I bless the nigga. You took that open blood, then you know I'm gon' get active with you. Fuck the opposition, I see vision, let me paint the picture. Rappers claim they spit, I ain't listening, is in fact the If revenge was a woman, now I stroke that bitch like Jackie. So time war, we gon' run the summer, it's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't do that, bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it Young Bay. How you real trigger know them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cow leader? What he saying something, I ain't hear him. This shit light. It ain't about who got the gun, it's about who gon' up that pipe first. I turn a bad situation to a game changer. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raised up the chain. Free shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand that feeds you, you'll never get that hand back. He bitchin' about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. I'm a certified woman's ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, out with that hollow side, yeah, this the real McCoy. Feel like Gullah Jack when I'm in Fayetteville, you feel your boy. Still up on my brain, still I think that's all that I do. The way I get it, boy, lost, they gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his game, pop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy.
They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So that you said they put millions of my actions. Should a murderer go to jail for murdering? Absolutely. Should a thief go to jail when he steals? Absolutely. Should a robber pay back the money he robbed? Absolutely. So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did? That's right. That's right.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacle set in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never a home, only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting, the trail of my tears is countless. Main fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles and make it official. I'm capturing every cracker surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be, slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cage and safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash, get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
ain't no remorse in my blood slip. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I'm back gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in this body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is dish served cold, I just hope they making oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in a world of mad shooters. Devils design fire for our babies to pass through it. And the day of our king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
Someday you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
Shalom, Lord Christ Israel. We're the ISUPK. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under command of Junior Hanna. And this is your Friday LaShawan Qadash class. And of course, like we usually do every Friday, we're going to start off with the basics, and that is just going over the alphabet. Of course, you have the ancient at the top, the Assyrian at the bottom. And this is, again, your LaShawan Qadash class. So let's go over it in Hebrew. You got from the top, of course, in Hebrew, you read from right to left. In the Western culture, it's left to right. You phonetically pronounce it right underneath, and that's what you say. So it's ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, cha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, sa, ma, na, sa, I, pa, ta, za, qua, ra, sha, and tha. And of course, right underneath, you have the corresponding Assyrian, which is the more modern day Hebrew, and you pronounce those the same way. So there you have it. If you don't have it written down in your notes, of course, go ahead and write it down. I'll give you a second to get those on the board. Get those off the board. And of course, if you always need to, if you need more time, always, you can pause it, screenshot it, copy it down on your own time or a little later. Like Israel for starting the class a little late, but we're going to get right into it. So the last couple weeks we've been dealing with prepositions and understanding prepositions. You have prefixes and suffixes, and we've been going into depth in those, so we're going to get a little bit deeper in those. Last week we started bringing up the dash that you might see between the words, what it actually means, and we're going to go a little bit deeper in that. Put it to the other side, try to get rid of this glare. Alright, that's a little better. Alright, so what I am going to put on the board, I'll put back up the prefixes and suffixes as needed. We'll go over those since that's what we're going over. You have the alphabet, so I don't think you would need to see that. Of course, while we're going over the class, if the alphabet is something that you continually need to look at, it's not a problem if you actually write it down and make yourself a little cheat sheet. So every time you come to class or start class, you can pull it out, and it's like you're looking at the alphabet. So you'll make yourself something similar to that, or what's on the board, and that way you can have it as we progress through the class. So prefixes or prepositions. A preposition is a class of words used to express a spatial or temporal relations marked by various semantic roles. I'll say that again. A preposition is a class of words used to express spatial or temporal relations marked by various semantic roles. And we're going to go and get into those. Give you a clearer understanding of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to put an example on the board. Well, let's first get these prefixes and suffixes on the board. Just as review. So on the right side, we'll put in your prefixes. Or your prepositions, which simply mean pre-position. So you have your I, ba, da, ha, wa, ya, ka, ma, sha, and tha. So, and again, pay attention to the script. Pick a script. Choose the script that you want to write in. Weekly, I kind of show different handwritings of different scripts that you just really going to have to understand and pay attention to be able to read it. So when you look at the Assyrian Hebrew, so you saw what we had on the board when we started the class. That was done by Officer LaShawan. A hell of a good job on that. Here's a different type of script in Assyrian. It looks a little different, and that's just how it's written out. And then some people make it more basic, more plain, to where I'll put a word on the board real quick, debar. So they'll write debar in the Assyrian looking like this. And it looks neat and clean, but it definitely doesn't look like the hand penmanship of what we just started off when we were reading it over. But it doesn't matter. As long as it's close, it's consistent, you can read it and understand it. We're not going to be dogmatic on it. But this word means debar. Oh, let me finish putting these prepositions on the board. So I in front of a word means I am, I or I am. By is in or on. Da is do. Ha is the. Wa is and. Ya in the beginning of a word is he. Ka is as or like. Ma is of or from. Sha is when or whom, which, or that pertaining to. So like whom, which, or pertaining to. And then of course tha is the thee, Thee, or thou. Gives you that understanding. And then on the other side, you have your suffixes, which is ya, which equals my, ka, which equals you or your, wa, he or his, ha equals her, nawa, like Nathan Nawawa, is our, kam is y'all, that's the masculine plural. Khan at the end of the world is y'all, but that's the feminine plural. And then you have the ma and the na at the end, which is a their, masculine and feminine. Alright, so you got your prefixes and suffixes on there. So let's get into the lesson real quick, and of course next week class will be on time and we'll go in a little deeper. So what I was bringing up in the beginning, well, I gave you the definition of a preposition. So now we're going to get into constructs. Constructs. So this is that means the bar, which is masculine singular, and this will be considered absolute. So we write the bar yum, which would be bar yum. That's masculine plural. And then you'll have the bar dash, the bar yeah. Right, so you have masculine singular at the top, the bar yum, masculine plural. The bar with this dash, which we're going to get into, is the masculine construct, and of course, masculine plural construct underneath, when you have the dabar ya with a dash. So what are we saying when we have those dashes? I'm gonna put that definition on the board, what this dash technically means. So this dash, if it's in front of the word, it means in close relation to. And what is it close relation to? The other definition I'm going to put on the board is actually what a construct is. What is a construct? A construct is two or more nouns that appear together by a juxtaposition. So when you look at this dash right here, this dash is actually a juxtaposition. And that juxtaposition, just put this to separate. Juxtaposition. Two or more nouns appear together by a juxtaposition. So, the phrase that we're going to get into is the bar ayash. The bar ayash. Let's write that out so you can see a clear example of a juxtaposition. The bar so you have the bar ayash. I'll write that out underneath so you'll see it. And we know the bar alone means word. Does anybody know what ayash means? Does anybody know what ayash means? Now, we went over this a class or two ago, breaking down the different prayers. This root word came up. If you don't know, that's not a problem. They give it to you, but definitely when you get certain words, put it down in your book for your vocabulary. But the bar, ayash, the bar means word. Ayash simply means what? Man. Ayash means man. So when you have two or more nouns, the bar, one noun, word, person, place, or thing. Ayash, second noun, person, place, or thing, meaning man. When they're in close relation to, when they appear together with a juxtaposition, which you have right here in this dash, you have a construct. So you have the bar ayash connected together with a dash or in close relation to a dash, two or more nouns that pair together by a juxtaposition. We just went over that this dash actually means something. It's a juxtaposition. Without it, this would mean word man. But with this juxtaposition in close relation to the word, you have the understanding of word of man. Word of man. The water, my Lord. You have it, word of man. So, one more time, a construct, which is this whole section, the bar dash ayash, a construct, two or more nouns, the bar is a noun, ayash is a noun, that appear together by a juxtaposition. The juxtaposition, what we just went over, is this dash. So sometimes you have things in maybe the Western culture that doesn't necessarily add up, meaning, or doesn't necessarily mean anything as far as the construction of the sentence or phrase, where you might have a comma would just mean a pause or a space. It doesn't add a word that changes the understanding. But here you have it. So you have the bar dash ayash. That dash is a juxtaposition, close relation to, that gives you the understanding of word of man. So whenever you see that and you see a dash, know that that's a construct. And then from understanding that that's a construct, you'll be able to understand how to understand it and read it. Does that make sense? I can put a deeper definition or a more in-depth definition of preposition on the board. I'll read it over. I'm not going to write it over. I wrote it a couple times in previous classes. So preposition is a class of words used to express spatial or temporal relations marked by various semantic roles. So when you look at this now, what do we have in this juxtaposition? You got the two nouns, but this will be considered a singular construct. A singular construct, the bar ayash. How do we know that that's a singular construct? How would we know that? I give you a second. You got the answer, go ahead and throw it in the chat. How do we know what type of construct this is? I actually gave it to you. I should have said that question first. And after you gave me the answer, follow up with that next one. But what type of construct is this? This is a singular construct. How do we know that this is a singular construct? That the bar ayash is a singular construct. How do we know that? We know that simply because it doesn't have the ya or the yum at the end of it. That's an easy way to understand it, as well as not having a dash. So it's singular because it deals with pretty much one thing in this phrase, one idea. The bar ayash only deals with one idea, one thing. And you don't see yum or ya at the end making it a masculine plural construct at all. It's singular, the bar ayash. It's not the bar yum making it plural. So that's a telltale sign if you don't have the ya or yam at the end, which would make it a plural. So that's how you know it's a singular construct. But if you added the yum or the ya, see how it says the bar ya, masculine plural construct, and then the bar yum, masculine plural. That's that's the easy way of identifying what kind of construct this is. So this will be a singular construct. This right here, singular construct, not a masculine. It's not a plural construct. And just so you can get this, so if you have Yah at the end it equals of course a suffix and that objective is him, or it's possessive, meaning his. So Yah at the end of the word gives it possession. So you see Yah right here, my. At the end of a word means my. Ha at the end of the word means her. So if I was trying to say her book, that shows it its possession, whose book it is. If Y was at the end, it shows his possession, he or his. Ka is at the end, Shalom Ka. Shalom Ka meaning how is your peace. Ka at the end meaning you or yours. Shalom Ka means how's your peace. And of course, the first one we went over is Yah at the end, which is my. Then of course you have the Kam and Khan, which is your masculine, it's your plural, masculine and feminine. If it ends with the M, it's masculine, the N, feminine, and then the Ma and Na is their masculine and feminine. You got any questions on that? Give you a second to get this on the board. Second to get that on the board. All right. So lastly, I see I got the definition of construct on the board. So in this corner over here, I'm gonna just get that a little deeper, that definition of preposition. Throw that up on the board. I just put that black marker. I'll throw it in my pocket. And if you see it, I'm gonna write it in this corner preposition. Preposition is a class of words used to express spatial or temporal relations marked by various semantic roles. So there you have it on the board. We got your prepositions and your suffixes. These are your main prepositions, your main suffixes that you're going to be using. Are there more? I'm sure they are. Do I know all of them? No, I do not. That's the goal, though. Of course, we went over what is a juxtaposition. Now, the last, say a few weeks ago, I put up that dash. I said I was going to get a better understanding. I was going to actually see if it means anything at all. Come to find out, it does mean something. It means in close relation to. So when you have two or more nouns that pair together by a juxtaposition, so you have two nouns, dabar and ayash being both nouns, person, place, or things, and they appear by a juxtaposition, which is that dash altogether. It's that dash. That means you have a construct. That's what a construct is. Two or more nouns that appear together by a juxtaposition. And then the next step will be identifying what type of construct it is. It is a singular construct. How do we know? It's because the first and easiest way to understand it, it doesn't have ya or yum at the end identifying the pluralness of it. That's the first way to identify. Of course, when you read it out, it definitely just deals with one singular thing. It's one singularity. It's not multiple men. You don't see they and a group of people in this understanding. So, and then when you go dropping down even further, we just went over preposition as a class of words used to express spatial or temporal relations marked by various semantic rows. So, reading this without a juxtaposition, having that understanding of what a juxtaposition is. If you just read it, it would mean word man. That's all it would mean. If you saw the bar, no dash, and ayash, it would just mean word man. You wouldn't have a clear understanding, a clear sentence. You have a sentence fragment. But when you add this dash, it gives you an understanding of the close relation between these two nouns. And then you will get the understanding of. So now with the juxtaposition in place, you see that the phrase means word of man. Word of man. So of course, as just a simple recap of the suffix, if it's at the end, if you put this ya, and you put that at the end of a word, you see that right there? That's the ya. That will mean that you're giving it a possession. You're saying it's mine. That's what you will be saying. All right, give you a second to get that on the board. Before, of course, we in the class, I'm gonna check the chat, make sure there's no questions in the chat. Alright, shalom to everybody that's tuning in. Dwight, I definitely appreciate you tuning in to the classes. The more people that tune in, the more forces me to get on my P's and Q's. Just as an update last week, of course, as you know, we did have that good HP back to school bash. It definitely was a success. So shout out to Officer Kazak with that, all the brothers that came together and made that happen. Stay tuned for the next feast day. Which would look like it will be the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. Coming up in a couple weeks, but definitely get with your camp leader on the next feast day, of course. And based off of that, I might tailor the next few classes leading up to the feast day of that, specifically on that feast day, see if we can get out of it. But the next class, I wanted to pick up where we left off on this and go into Genesis 25 and 34. And in Genesis 25 and 34, what we're going to do, just to give you a heads up, we're going to just try to plan to put in practice what we've learned today. So we identifying juxtapositions, identifying constructs, being able to put those together. If you see a sentence, and like the beginning says, and Jacob gave to Esau, you'll be able to see, oh, that's a noun, those are together, or those are together. It doesn't have a juxtaposition though, so that means that, or you'll be able to start putting it together. Just like I was saying when it comes to the prefixes, the prepositions, and the suffixes. Like when you memorize those, and you have them memorized rather, and you see them at the beginning of a word, you can better identify the root word and put together that phrase and understanding what the communicator is trying to communicate. So with certain things that you might not always be able to just to Google, you'll be able to Google a root word, but getting these prepositions down, these suffixes down, that's going to be key. That's definitely going to be key. All right, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close out the class. Again, Salakia Israel for starting the class link. Shalom, Yahba Hashem. We're going to give a courtesy salute to the Akim, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim Barak, Yahba Hashem, Yahushua Barakatah. Courtesy salute to all the sisters. Yahweh Shamar, Allah Ta'ba Hashem, Yahushua. Class dismissed.